Do.
No, don't always do. Looks like I got them. So I think if I close this a little bit more, it'll be better. Okay. Back to blonde.
Sounds like an album
I was listening
title.
to be a song like that. All right.
You're live on LinkedIn, by the way.
All right. We're live on LinkedIn.
So wait a minute, you're already streaming?
Just, yeah, started the stream. We're gearing up for the Gillmor gang, checking our streams. LinkedIn is live. Facebook,
X is live.
X is live. The stream. Let me check on the Facebook.
It's live there too.
Yeah, there we go. All
It's
right,
live.
beautiful. So we're streaming and we're almost ready to go. So hang on to your hats, everybody.
Okay.
Ooh, speaking of hats and sports, something's gonna happen tomorrow, and I'm gonna watch it.
Something happened today.
What's today?
Women's.
Oh,
And that's just as exciting as the men because of the dumb coach that Connecticut has.
and who's playing? Who's playing? Them.
South Carolina. No, UConn lost, which is why he stormed off the court in a huff.
Oh,
UCLA. Well, you guys should know. South Carolina is playing in the women's championship game today.
ooh.
Yeah. And then the one
Okay.
that Tina
Well-
cares about is Michigan.
Michigan.
That's
tomorrow?
going to be a good game
Oh,
too.
wow.
Michigan and who are they play? Connecticut. Connecticut's in that one. The
Yeah.
males.
And then the one
Okay.
that Tina cares about is Michigan.
Uh-oh.
That's probably
That's gonna be a
Keith.
good game too. Like a
Keith, is
30-second
that
delay.
you?
Who's got the echo? Late.
It was me on
Okay,
X.
great. You got it fixed. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just get Steve in the speaker's chair here. And
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're going to get Steve in a better mood.
Yeah,
oh, he's already in a great.
that ain't happening.
He's great. He's great. All right. Mute is off, and we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and
Hi, Steve Gillmore in a better mood? I don't think so.
you're always in a good mood, Steve.
And this is the Gillmore Gang. Welcome from the state of London.
Ah,
Hmm.
I say that with all sincerity.
The 51st state?
Well, maybe the 47th state
Unlikely.
is Frank Radis.
Hello, gangsters. Steve, Tina, gangsters, Brent, Keith. Did I leave anyone out? Any dogs or cats?
Brent was, put into the friends cluster, but there was only one person in it.
You're
Frank-
all friends to me.
Frank, how many years have you and Steve and I known each other?
Well, do we add all three together or
No,
just two?
I gotta think 25, maybe
Wow.
Oh,
More.
30. Well, wait a minute. I wasn't married yet when we first met, so that was
That's
35
correct.
years, right? So
There
there's
you go.
35 years. Yeah, so I'd say 36 or 37 years.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think. I think I just left ABC, so yeah, it's been
You
a
were
long time.
you were definitely
You
a
were
fan.
at CNN.
I was at CNN, and that was 84. Yeah.
Well,
Alrighty then.
Okay.
You do the math.
You do the math.
No,
I'm
you
going to do the introduction.
okay. And I'm
From
gonna elongate it.
the State of Confusion.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's that shake.
It's just so he can get you to shake that head and just.
That's all I'm looking for. Everything else is a bonus.
Shake your money.
Plus one. Yeah, I thought Frank Zappa was brilliant right up until He
He
got
wasn't.
into a fight with the Beatles
Oh,
on
Right up
camera.
until he wasn't.
okay. And you
What does this
Yeah.
have to do
can
with
we
my
go back to
introduction
Brent?
again? I
Can we
don't
go
know
back
what's
to
going
Brent?
on.
Okay, yes. State of Confusion.
I am very
Uh,
confused.
Brent
Yes.
Leary. Welcome, Brent.
Thanks to the confusion state of mind, I guess.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't,
come on. I
I don't,
mean, it was so cut and dry 4 years ago. Right now, what does South Carolina have to say about anything?
Like to say that Brent is one of the least confused people I
Atlanta,
know.
Georgia.
I don't know. The longer I'm on this thing, I feel like it's getting
Hey,
more
you
confused.
just got to go with it. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, Big Tuesday coming up here.
What happened?
MTG's seat is on the
Up for
election ballot.
grabs?
Oh,
Yes.
right.
And
yeah,
what
it's
do
a
you
good
think?
one.
Who's going to replace her?
I have no idea.
Aha.
But well, who knows?
Well, we'll get to
It's
that
about the margin, I think. Not the marge, the margin.
All right.
from the seat next to me,
Oh
our
no.
producer, director, and
And what?
everything that I need to know about
Oh,
life.
forgot the love of my
Oh.
life.
No, you say that. Is Tina Chase Gilmore. Welcome.
Hi there. Hi everybody. Hi gangsters. Hi fellow people, watchers and all that stuff. Hello, hello, and happy Easter, happy Passover.
Happy Passover. Yeah, let's see how that works. Um,
Passover is very happy.
is it
Yes.
the
Yeah,
Easter?
they passed over.
It's
Hmm.
very happy. They go to they march to freedom. Yes. Freedom.
And last but certainly not least is the resident newsletter guru of our time. And that would
Holding down
be,
the fort in Silicon Valley.
well, yeah, he doesn't mention that very much. It's venture capital world.
Ah.
Is Keith here? Welcome, Keith.
It's true. I don't mention that much. I don't self-identify as a SV person. I self-identify as a North Yorkshire, Englishman.
Yeah.
And what was that other city that you were talking about?
Palo Alto,
No, no, no.
Scarborough.
Yeah,
Scarborough.
there it
And
is.
you got to say it right, Steve.
I don't
No,
have.
no, no. In England, you say Scarborough. It's not borough. It's
Right.
Scarborough,
Scarborough.
but
Scar
it's
you
it's
kind of
spelled borough, but you pronounce it, especially if you're from Yorkshire, it's Scarborough, like BRA. It's like a bra, Scarborough.
Scarborough. You just sort of blend those two letters together.
How you doing, bruh?
Okay, so where are we? Who wants to start?
I want to start.
Not,
I want to
not
Oh,
start.
me.
Brent wants to
Go,
Brent,
start.
go
I
for
got
it,
go,
I
Brent.
Brent.
because
Go for
I
it.
think this is going to go right to Keith.
Oh,
Because I had never heard of TBPN before. This
oh.
tech. What is it? Is it Tech Bros Production Network or something like that? I don't know.
I
But
actually don't know what it stands for. I find it hard enough to get the B and the P in the right order, never mind what they stand for.
but OpenAI buying this podcast is it's like somebody described it as the ESPN of tech podcasts. Um, why are they buying it is really interesting.
Yeah.
So first of all, had anybody other than Keith heard of TBPN before?
Not me.
No.
No.
Apparently, it's a daily talk show that's 3 hours long,
Oh,
hosted by entrepreneurs Jordy Hayes and John Coogan. Now, the only reason I think I know those guys is because last year's NVIDIA GTC event, they did a pre-show before the keynote, and I think they brought those two guys in to host the pre-show for the keynote. I thought they were, pretty cool. I thought they were okay, but apparently they're a big deal. I think they do the Acquired podcast. Keith, is that right?
I don't
Yes.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
but TPBN is its own thing. It's like CNBC for tech, basically.
For Tech Bros, that's what they called it. The Tech
Yeah,
Bros, CNBC, ESPN. Yeah.
yeah.
So they got bought, and apparently nobody saw this coming. But I'm sure there's some good ideas about why a company like OpenAI bought their own 21st century version of ESPN.
Well, the
It,
history of
it,
that kind of thing is not optimal. Andreessen Horowitz did a version of that, probably first, and to what end?
it would be a bit like if Google bought TechCrunch back in the day, as opposed to Yahoo. Yahoo at least was a media company. Um, Arguably, Google is a media company as well. But I remember around TechCrunch, there was always all these, me and Mike talked quite a lot about raising money to do a fund. And it was always considered a massive conflict to be in the game as well as an observer of the game. And we disagreed with that. Uh, we thought TechCrunch wasn't journalism in the strict sense of the capital J, that it was more like participant observers. You were in the game anyway, so why not be able to invest? And but we never did. And eventually, Mike got fired by Arianna Huffington and created Crunch Fund. And so that whole thing about being in the game or outside the game, that is kind of what is arising now because clearly OpenAI wants to own the message. And so it's bought one of the messengers. It is very well watched, that show, but it's, by the way, not very good. I watch it every now and then. It isn't that great, but it has a big audience, without a doubt.
When you say a big audience, are you talking about a big audience in a small pond of people? Because I don't know too many people that have ever heard of it before, but it definitely is popular with a certain subset of the community.
It isn't my generation or even your generation. It's the younger tech crowd who are doing all of the, recent graduates. By recent, I probably mean the last 10 years that have gone into tech. So it's a very young crowd, and tends to be employees of all the big AI companies, and other tech companies watch it. So it's become a must, like they can get any CEO to go on and be interviewed.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's definitely, made a name for itself. And obviously these guys are cashing in. That rumors are that they sold it for 2 to 300 million. 26 revenues were targeted at 30 million,
Wow.
up from 5 million last year.
Yeah.
So 30 times 10 is roughly what I think it sold for. It's going to, in quotes, stay independent, like OpenClaw is staying independent.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
why would you buy something if you don't want to control the message?
But don't they want to control the narrative, the message? Because
I would have
this
thought so.
this is what
Well,
I
the
see.
idea that this can control the message is ludicrous.
Also true, yeah.
Well, unless you're one of the new media companies that owns the messenger and the message.
I don't
Yeah,
buy it.
but
I
let's
mean, it
say
didn't happen with Newsweek. It didn't happen with
Washington Post.
Time. It didn't
Well,
happen
but
with
so
Washington Post.
would you say that it's not applicable to the mainstream media and the purchases of those, like
Actually,
CBS
I
I
and
think
think
it's
they're
actually
all
more. I think it's
very
more.
similar gambits that don't work. Is
You
what I think.
wonder
well,
what the benefit, are there any benefits at all of owning it? I kind of struggle to even think of one.
No, I don't think so. I think they bought it because they thought they'd be able to control it. Because let's face it, wasn't Sam doing these interviews and not doing a really good job with it and starting to get flamed? And it seems like to me this is one of the answers to him not doing a good job. Well, we'll buy the most popular thing out there, and then we'll be able to have our stuff fact filter into that. And I think people are going to be smart enough to understand is why are you going to get bought by one of the big companies that is driving some negative kind of conversation?
The way to understand this stuff is
Her country's doing it.
the way to understand this stuff is to look at the motivation of the audience. The motivation of the audience, in my opinion, is to uh, jump through time in a way that gets you slightly ahead of everybody else who's doing the same thing. And this show, like All In, another sort of power play that doesn't work, is uh, it's not aligned with the motivations of people who are trying to survive this awful period.
I don't think people want. I would assume I don't because I don't. I've never watched this thing, but I think people that are young and they want to have an honest conversation, an unfiltered conversation, not owned by any of the folks that they're talking about. And
You're right.
as soon as that OpenAI buys them, that just flies out the window because anytime, let's say they were hard on OpenAI for something 5 months ago. Now they're bought by them, and now something big comes out, and now their stance isn't as hard as it was 5 or 6 months ago. People are going to point directly to that and say, "All right, these guys are done," because you can't have an honest conversation about the company that they now are a part of.
Well, the guys are clearly money guys. You know, you can smell the difference between a media person and a money person. And these guys who are presenters are clearly, you know, they've probably went to Stanford Business School or the equivalent. They're definitely money guys, and their show is very much focused on discussion around transactional issues, not really substantive intellectual issues. So it really is the CNBC of tech as opposed to, the Crunchbase of tech or the TechCrunch of tech. And they got what they wanted. They did 2 years work and they made $200 or $300 million.
You can't fault them for that part of it, I guess.
I cannot care.
Well,
You
that's
cannot
true
care, yeah.
too. But
And
I think if OpenAI cares, this move is not going to be successful if it's about controlling narratives and believing that we can now shape the message coming out of one of these big channels that a lot of the folks that care are talking or kind of pointing to and talking about. I don't think you can ever try to buy the message and get away with it.
what's that? Who said the message is the medium or the medium is
Marshall
the
Yeah.
message?
McLuhan.
Was that
Right.
Marshall
Travis Scott?
McLuhan.
So
Oh,
if you
The
look
Marshall.
at
medium is the massage.
what happened overnight, um, there's no reason anyone should know this, but Anthropic blocked OpenClaw, which is the open source agent, unless you're prepared to pay extra on top of your already existing $200 a month subscription.
yeah.
So Anthropic is saying to its own subscribers who are paying it $200 a month, you can't use OpenClaw unless you pay more.
All right, can you just roll back slightly and explain what you're talking about and who Anthropic is and why
Yeah,
you think
Did you
that's interesting?
did you say it was an open Claude?
Claw,
Open
Oh,
CLAW.
Claw.
Yeah.
So basically, Anthropic is the owner of Claude, which is by any measures the number two AI platform and growing rapidly, and very good, extremely good. It's run by Dario Amadei, who was the guy who just did not do the deal with the Department of War, and the big fuss happened over. OpenClaw is an open source project by this guy, Peter Steinberger, an Austrian techie who built an interactive agent that lives on your own computer. And it sits on top of your chosen LLM, like it can sit on top of Claude or OpenAI or any of the others. And most people have chosen to use OpenClaw sitting on top of Claude, Anthropic's LLM, because it works very well. And what happened is a couple of things happened. The first is OpenAI acquired OpenClaw, again, promising to leave it independent and open source. And now roll the clock forward a few weeks. Anthropic, whose users like OpenClaw, is now blocking it from being used unless you pay more money.
Now, what does that mean, block, and why is this
Well, because
a
it's two
story
levels
at
of
this point?
software. One sits on top of the other. So this is OpenClaw, this is Claude. And when you talk to your OpenClaw, you can talk to it in WhatsApp or iMessage or Telegram. It lives in an interface that you choose when you set it up. Mine lives in Telegram. So I say to my OpenClaw, please update that was the week with today's best articles. And it tells Claude to do that down here, and Claude does it. And then it reports back to me what it did. So it kind of orchestrates this level down below.
Mm.
And so by blocking it, it now says error, it can't do that.
Mm.
And it's blocked. It's
It's
basically
basically
blocked.
impotent.
Say again, Tina?
It's basically impotent. I mean, it can't do anything.
Yeah. So
It's
you
just
can go in and
OpenAI.
change it. You can go in and change it to OpenAI, and now it'll work again. But you can't use it with Anthropic. Now, in my case, I do pay extra, and it still got blocked.
Wow.
So now on X, there's a huge uproar against Anthropic, and this is my point about the message is the medium. It doesn't matter whether you're on the media. Users own reactions to events, and the media just has to suck it up and reflect it. Otherwise, it's useless. Now, in this case, it plays into OpenAI's hands. But
To
you
me,
could just imagine a scenario where that isn't true.
to me, it sounds like the AI leaders are approaching on um, uh, like fights, like okay, this is not okay, like you just explained. This is not going to work until put some more money in the piggy bank.
Yeah.
And it seems like the companies are kind of rattling each other. How do you think that's going to go over with just general people, that there's like clashing?
Yeah.
Because
You know,
that's
the
that's
last few weeks, I've been having this theme about childishness, and it really explains the main two, Sam Altman and Dario Amodei, which is OpenAI and Anthropic. They are doing exactly what you said, Tina. And
There's a
they're
term
both,
for this in Hollywood called anthropomorphism, where you put pants on Mickey Mouse's body,
yeah.
little jumpsuit there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're both retreating into their domains, very somewhat ideologically, and taking pot shots at each other.
Mm.
Demis Hassabis, the Google DeepMind leader, is keeping out of it. He's much more sober. And Suleiman, who was Hassabis's co-founder at DeepMind, who's now at Microsoft running their stuff, is keeping out of it. But it does strike you as being I don't know what's driving it, whether it's just youth. They're not especially young, they're both in their either late 30s or early 40s, so they're not especially young. It's either youth or inexperience or
Or
just
vanity.
hubris,
What is or
ego.
what,
I
Frank?
said vanity.
Vanity.
Oh,
All of this sounds exactly like this huge media obsession that's going on with the billionaires and mainstream media, and even Jamie Dimon talking about setting up some kind of a joint venture that creates some new media, whether it's digital media or traditional media, and it seems so much like it's got to do with um, vanity, almost because as you said, you think you're going to go in, you're going to change minds, and you're going to make things happen, but you go in and none of that happens, and or it all falls to hell, which is like what's going on with Paramount and CBS and CNN right now. And I just think that, boy, all of this sounds very similar
what
Mm.
does it mean? What do you
to
mean
me.
with Paramount? What do you mean specifically? It's all going
Well,
to hell.
Paramount has the support of the administration. The administration is against the CBS News and 60 Minutes very specifically, and CNN very specifically. If Paramount buys once the deal goes through with Disco Bros, it ends up being owned by Paramount, which is supported by a huge vanity project.
It's
Whether it's
Ellison.
Ellison,
It's
I was
really
going to say
Larry Ellison.
well, yeah, it's Ellison, but without Trump, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, no, Ellison is in bed on the AI money spending program that David Sachs has been behind.
Stargate, is that 500
Yeah,
billion?
yeah. Most of which I think is fine, by the way. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's bought him kudos with Trump, and so
Yeah,
the quid pro quo is Trump very much favors Paramount buying Warner Brothers above Netflix, which is
yeah.
But what we've seen though is that he owns Warner Brothers and uh, CBS News, and they made those big changes with that Barry Weiss person. Comes aboard as seemingly being more aligned with what the administration wants versus what was going on before these new people came in. And what are you seeing? You're seeing the news program tank miserably
Oh
in
my
terms of the
gosh,
audience.
when CBS makes the changes that are being reported about 60 Minutes, 60 Minutes will no longer be in the top five.
Yeah.
You watch.
yeah, but you've got to. I'd put that in context, Brent. If you add together the viewership of all the news put together,
Hmm.
it's minuscule.
Well, that's true, but and we're talking the old school media stuff. But I think the moral is you try to put this media in the hands of people that are pliable and amenable to what the administration wants. It's not what the viewers want, apparently, because the ratings have tanked. And so that's what you think you're buying,
Yeah.
but you're really not buying it because people turn it off and move to something else.
And then there's the reaction of the market to Oracle, which is abysmal.
You're not buying changing hearts and minds anymore.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
you're certainly because, if not only because the audience are so tiny. But I will say, and this is not a defense of it, mainstream media. Even though the numbers are smaller, they still generate huge profits because the ratings are built against cost per thousand. So you may say that the ratings for a particular show have gone down from 35 million to 5 million. The cost per thousand has gone up. So there's some wiggle room in there, and so there's still money to be made, and hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's not chicken feed, and if you can change some minds, if you think you can, if you're CBS and you, for example, change the mainstream media sort of direction of CBS News into something that is more amenable to a younger audience, which I don't think you can do, but I think that's what they're trying to do, then that may change what mainstream media is in the future. I don't think they can do it. I really don't. And I certainly don't think that the person that they put in charge of it is the one that's going to make that happen. That's my opinion. Because, they put her next to a guy named Tom Sabrowski, who was a very uh, together, straight laced, old mainstream media guy. And he has had from what I can tell, absolutely no influence on what's going on at CBS. Their reporters are, look, granted, the 60 Minutes anchor team is all in their 80s, and they're going to all go anyway. But so she needs to make changes there. What happens at 60 Minutes, though, will not be with the 60 Minutes that the audience has come to know and love. It's a very old audience, but it's a really loyal one, and so you start breaking those loyalties, and that will change the dynamic too. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Well, but well spoken nonetheless. The thing that has been happening with CBS to me is a kind of rounding error of what's been happening to all the alphabet networks. It started with NBC basically capsizing their credibility completely, and now you see Chuck Todd doing ads for life insurance. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. So there's some really, really smart people. I mean, if you listen to Chuck Todd talk about the campaign and what's going to happen in the midterms, this guy actually knows what he's talking about.
He does.
It's amazing because he sure didn't come across that way when he was running Meet the Press. So these networks have uh,
Squandered.
yeah, I don't think that they had much choice. I think that it has to do with age, but more interestingly, at least to me, is that the replacement for these networks, if you believe Brent Leary, it's going to be Media Space or whatever that guy's name is.
I don't recall saying that, but
No, I'm just baiting you. It has nothing
You
to
know
do
what?
with reality.
I'm
To
confused.
yeah, I think it's a state of confusion. I actually think that the what we are talking about here is a shift to digital media, and that is happening, and that is the direction that all of these mainstream medias are trying to get themselves attached to. And create their own. That's why CBS has said already, and they've said this publicly, that they're going to hire a bunch of podcasters, all of whom who have a position, most of whom have a position,
Good luck.
to replace the reporters. So that means that they won't be reporting anymore. I'm not sure, but that's the shift, and that's where it's
Well,
headed.
you know what? But
I disagree. I think it's a shift. I think Brent has said this. I know that Keith has said this. It's a shift from whatever it was to a focus on the enterprise space.
well, here's
Well,
what I would say is the shift is the traditional media folks, and this is just general statements, because I'm not putting this in any one in particular. People back in the day had to watch from a selection of a couple of channels, but they never really wanted to just have that week of a selection, and B, just be an observer or a watcher. They've always wanted to be a part of the conversation and to be engaged and even do their own shows if they could. And what's happened is YouTube is allowing these people to do just that. So it's not just watching three channels, it's becoming a channel of your own and building your own audience. And they finally have platforms that allow them to do this. And the cat is out the bag. There's no way that traditional media can ever compete with that, because it was built on them having as much control over what people saw than the people themselves had. And now they can do whatever they want.
I think that's what I said, but you said it better.
Okay.
I, I mean, back in the day, I think people, when the news was sort of pouring in, and all you could get it was like at 6 o'clock at night. And you had to wait until 6 o'clock at night to hear all of this stuff if you weren't listening to the radio, which, by the way, is way more like what digital media is today than it was back then. It was the place where things happened, where there was talk, where there was opinion, where there was stuff going on that you could listen to, call into even, which was becoming a part of it. It wasn't until television allowed you to do that that it started to make that move forward, and it wasn't until the digital media started to make things happen, like MSNBC's original concept with Microsoft, which was a good concept. We've talked about that before. It just was untenable at the time. And that's where all of these things are happening. You don't see too much interaction on CNBC, for example, but what you do see is direct reporting, a lot of charts, a lot of other people's opinions, but you don't get call in, and you don't get me being involved in it. Yet you watch CNBC because what is it? It's where your money is. You want to see how your money's
Right. That's
doing
what I mean
today.
by the enterprise. And the same thing is true for LinkedIn on the network. Both of those networks are much more substantial to my mind, CNBC has replaced NBC. And if you look at the multi-view capability that YouTube TV is about to expand, uh, they finally figured out how to lock in CNBC in the lower right or whatever quadrant. And I'm sure that the reason that they've locked it in finally is they're just cleaning the clocks of the major networks.
Steve, tell me more about the what's the expansion of
The multi-view.
multi-view?
Multi-view, they're going to go to basically a multi-view plus strategy, which where you
Choose
pay a
your own.
little bit extra and you get to configure your own multi-view.
Let me ask you a quick question. Are people able to configure the multi-view with stuff coming from YouTube, from content creators, or is it just selecting stuff that's in their channel lineup?
Well, that's a really interesting question because no is the answer. And
It's going to
probably
change
by
eventually.
probably by the end of the midterms, yes will be the answer.
Yeah,
Because
you're gonna want to put Midas Touch in one of those boxes, or you're gonna want to put
now I think they're going to
Jack
get obliterated.
Coachirella in one of those boxes, or you're gonna want to put. Right now, the best you can do is TYT.
Well, Google is smart, and they're smart enough to realize that. And I think the CEO of YouTube even said it. We are TV now, and
Yeah,
the not the YouTube TV that we
but
pay
YouTube.
$82. We're talking about YouTube and the content that these creators are making. There, once you open it up and let people choose channels to put in the multi-view from that, that's when it's gonna really erupt. And then you're gonna have a full-blown comparison between CNN, CNBC, and whatever these guys TBPN is. That's
But
where it's gonna go.
Oh, I
Yeah,
but
would agree, but
Brent, I think there's another thing happening which is adjacent to this or parallel to this, which I think might end up being the future. And that is that if you live in YouTube, the content you watch is now more and more atomically specific to the interest that you have. Like I can watch espresso machine YouTube at the high end of espresso machines, or I can watch espresso machine YouTube at the low end of espresso machines. And there's feeds that are very specific. I can watch soccer transfer rumors about Manchester United, or I can watch Premier League highlights. So you can zoom right in.
oh
And
yeah,
so the idea of watching a show, a linear show, even streamed, goes out the window because your
that's layers.
interest. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I can actually watch tuxedo cats, but then I can also watch cats that are have stripes. I can watch all cats. I
Yeah.
can watch cats sleeping. I can. You think I'm kidding? I'm not.
No, no.
But you
I'm
don't put
absolutely not
when you
kidding.
put your list of what are the shows we're going to watch at the end of the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no cats listed. There's
No,
no
I'm
there's
I'm
no
tempted.
YouTube content
but
No,
of
I'm tempted to
visible.
start putting that in there, and I started. I was thinking about. I'll be honest with you. I was thinking about that the other day. I was also thinking about starting to add audiobooks to that list, which I I'm crazy about. I listen to audiobooks all the time, mostly because I don't have time. I'm on the tube or I'm on a train or something, and I'm listening to an audiobook. I can't read anymore, so and there are an awful lot of everything's on an audiobook. Everything. I can't wait until you get Shapiro's stuff on an audiobook.
Mm.
But you're absolutely right. Now I should start doing that. Not the cats.
Frank,
Yeah.
I'm curious, how much do you spend on your audiobook subscriptions and how much reading or book talking do you get done in a month?
I literally have bought hundreds of books a year.
Mm,
And they average between £7.95 and £11.
mm.
And so I'm spending the kind of money that Keith is spending on his tech on audiobooks, and I literally have thousands of them in my audiobook library,
Mhm.
and they're all different kinds. I mean, they're everything from histories and biographies to, I'm actually in the middle of the fourth generation of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy right now, which is just
Mm.
really wacky, and especially when they're done with multiple people in the cast and sound effects. It's amazing. It's like listening to a Fireside Theater album. And
Frank, you should try the voice on OpenAI's ChatGPT. It can speak back to you. You can speak to it. You can ask it to make documents and then read them.
yeah,
Um,
I've done some transfer of stories that I was reading, that I wanted to hear read to me because I didn't have a chance to continue to sit and read them, and I've done that. And by the way, just a little bit of an aside, I use Grok to do that, and now I've realized that with X, you can use Grok for free. It's the app that you can't use without paying extra for. So you get the same stuff. You just have to do it through X.
yeah.
So if we could take this kind of up another level, um, I think what we're all seeing, and you could include, why do people do newsletters? Why? Because they want to have an audience that they can constantly be engaging with. So you got the podcast, you got the newsletters, and if it wasn't about that, then none of this stuff would be taken off. We would all just be still watching other people's do stuff. But the whole thing is people want to build their own audience. They want to be able to have their own communication and based on that, monetize it. And this is all this is what it all boils down to. We like watching TV, but we like actually creating our own shows and building our own audiences and figuring out ways to monetize it. And that's where things are going.
It's a funny new business that you may or may not have heard of, but it's just come to me in the last couple of days. And that's there's an individual who has come to me and asked me if I want to be a guest on other people's podcasts. And they want to have a meeting with me. And my first question to them was, "Do I have to pay you for that? Because if I do, I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
If I'm not doing that. But I didn't get the answer I was expecting. The answer I was expecting was, yes, you need to pay us £15 a month or whatever it is. I didn't get that. What I got was, we can discuss the financial end of this when we talk. Now, I'm not sure that I even want to take it to the next step, but that's an interesting business that's come out of this.
Yeah, but it's a bait and switch. They just don't want to tell you that you have to pay. They want to pitch you on why you should
Yeah.
pay.
Easy enough to say no, though. I mean, I actually said no before I went ahead. I've not said to them one way or the other that I'm interested in pursuing this. But my point is that it's another way of monetizing these
You
kinds of
should
things.
you should vibe code a website called podcastguests.com
Hmm.
and let everyone who wants to be a guest submit themselves.
Just go into it, and then open it up to everybody. Oh, that's a good idea. Why don't you do that for me? Honestly, when it comes down to actually having to work, I'm not really interested.
But I tell you what, a lot of people would rather do this or try to figure out a way to make money off of this than working at McDonald's or,
Yeah.
cleaning rooms.
Sure.
And that's why you're seeing what's going on take place. People are
Oh,
like,
the opportunity ahead. Isn't
that's
that
what
great?
they see. No, hey, that's what they see. That's what they hope will happen because they see the Mr. Beast kind of people and they see this
Yeah,
TBPN kind
whatever
of thing.
happened to that guy, by the way? Whatever happened to Mr. Beast? I mean, he was he was the shiz for a
The
while.
guy is massive still.
Yeah, I was gonna
Still,
say.
well, you say that just because he has like hundreds of millions of followers.
No, he's making like yeah, yeah, that might be
Yeah,
I'm
just because of that.
just because of that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
If
What's
so
that
only
guy's name who does did the wine stuff?
Gary V.
No,
Yeah,
Gary
that's
V.
Gary. Yeah.
correct.
Gary V is he's very hot.
He's just annoying as
I
hell.
don't get me started. I'm
I
with you
got you
there.
started. Actually, I got Brent started, and now you're started.
No, I don't. I just never mind. Sorry.
Speaking a mouthful.
So
Yeah, without saying anything.
what I'm hearing though is that there's this maybe convergence of traditional media wanting to embrace podcasting or podcasters because somehow they've got maybe the eye of younger a younger segment, right, that is like taking in information this way, and so they think that somehow aligning with them and creating some sort of programming is going to bring in the people that they kind of lost, as traditional media has been kind of falling apart and losing its reach.
Mojo. I think you're 100% right. Look, I think, but also I think that traditional media may have already lost the game because they didn't get into it early enough to be able to develop it. I don't know if I mentioned this before on the show, but when I was at NBC, I had a colleague who went off to Google and he became the first head of YouTube. And I said to the NBC folks, let's go out to YouTube and see if we can figure out what we need to do with this thing. I'm talking about the very first YouTube, this guy was gracious and generous, and we had a chance to walk around the YouTube lot, which was just pretty fantastic. And there was no reason not to start thinking about it. And what I got from the people at NBC that I took out there was, yeah, this isn't for us. And very much the same that I got when we first dived into Facebook and Twitter, which was, yeah, you go ahead and you do your little face twit thing, Frank. We don't care. And it was, you laugh. That's exactly what they said until it became a thing. And they came back to me and they said, so what are we doing with Facebook and Twitter? And I said, well, I've been doing it now for a couple of years. And they said, well, you can't do it anymore. They took it away from me. As at that point, I was doing marketing and I wasn't in the news division. And so how can you do this? You're not in news. You're not a journalist anymore. And they took it and they squandered it. So what I guess I'm trying to say is, yes, they're trying to do exactly what you're saying, Tina, but I think it may be too late for them.
It's just Johnny come lately kind of thing, right? I mean,
I don't know. Everybody's too late. I was once working on a project with, well, it wasn't the Beatles and it wasn't the Stones.
just the Who.
That's correct. And the basic reality was it was a record that Pete Townsend wrote called Quadrophenia. And I'm really speaking out of turn to talk about this, but the bottom line that I understood what happened to the project is that ABC basically said, nah, just what Frank is talking about. These transitions that are guided by major disruptions in technology are not easy. And I think that what's going on with the Bros and the Warner Brothers thing is another example of that. This will take 3 or 4 years, and it will be whoever
Too
wins
late.
the Democratic nomination is going to be the power player, not Trump and not
Yeah.
Vance, not anybody today, because
Too late.
nobody's ready for it. They're much more interested in Mr. Beast right now than they are in the leading edge of mainstream media trying to overtake their
Yeah.
competitors.
Nice segue into politics, Steve.
So
Well, no, we're not.
but one thing you could say, I don't know if this is true, but I believe this is probably true. More people on the planet are watching more news more often than ever in history.
Oh,
Well,
But
that's
less
because
and-
they can.
But less and less of them are watching it on mainstream media.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
And
it
the
news?
reason is because they can, because they couldn't in the past. Now they can, and there's the insatiable appetite because the news is there's no less news or there's no less interesting stuff going on every single day from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep than there was in the past. It's just that now you don't have to wait for it.
and you've got your phone. You've got
Right,
your
that's the
phone.
point. That's
But
the
is
point.
it but is it news or is it opinions and views? Because that seems to be more what people want is I want to watch
Yeah.
stuff that aligns with what I think, not
It's
But
necessarily
you
the
know,
facts.
you
but it's
still
still
that's called opinion, and that's always been there too. There's no, I mean, that's talk radio.
But
Think about,
that's what Fox View. I never called it Fox
yeah,
News. I always called it Fox Views because it was
you know,
never about actual factual stuff. It was about how do we make whatever comes out as news align to what our viewers want us to talk
Okay,
about.
so this sort of dovetails back to the beginning of the show when we were talking about, trying to buy your way in to having credibility and how futile it is. So where are we? My opinion is that the midterms and their outcome is going to be significant for the media people, much more so than the political candidates, who there are none.
So what do you mean by that?
What I
it
mean,
opens the doors for them again. It'll let them back in while they have been pushed out now. If you look at the
Because of their
people that are,
expertise?
well, it doesn't matter whether it's their expertise or not. It just means that they'll be allowed back in. If you take a look at the front row at those people that are now reporting from directly inside the Pentagon, there isn't a single well-known news organization in there except for Fox, and I don't think Fox isn't even there. It's Newsmax and those things, and some really unknown right-wing podcasters. If you take a look at what's happened to the White House Correspondents Association, they're being bitterly pushed out, publicly and bitterly pushed out. When the Democrats come back in, the doors will open again, and they'll come in. But I think it's too late.
what do you mean by too late at that point? Let's say
I don't
let's say
think I
that
don't
the
think people.
Democrats do not take the Senate, but do take the House.
Then I don't think it's going to change that much.
Okay,
I
so
think I think I think they have to take both, and then they have to take the White House in order for that to happen. But the point is, by then it will be too late. If they don't get the Senate as
too
in the
late for
midterms,
who?
for the
What do you mean?
mainstream media and for traditional reporting,
Okay, and it will be replaced by what?
what's happening right now, which is what we're talking about. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's going to squeeze out all of. But as I said before, the billionaires are out there buying up mainstream media, whether it's the New York Times, or the Washington Post, or the Los Angeles Times, or NBC, or ABC, or CBS. It doesn't matter. Those things are not going to be what they are today in 3 years if the Democrats don't take over. And if they do, those things may continue to exist, but they will be slowly eradicated, and they will eventually go away. And what will be left is the things that we're talking about, that Brent's talking about, and that Keith's talking about. Now, what we've been talking about on this show
No,
today.
I want to hear specifically what you think the programming will be. Who are going to be the winners in an obvious way if the Democrats basically win in the midterms? Not a big win, but a
Yeah,
win.
free media is, if the Democrats win, the media landscape will be pretty much what it is right now, and that is that the free media is making its move, and that is the free digital media is making its move, while the mainstream media is trying to pull its shit back together. I think that will be what it is if it's just the House. If it's the House and the Senate, the mainstream media will have a push, but it'll still be mostly, in the end, digital media. I think in the end, it's going to be digital media. It'll
Okay,
be
so
well,
what does
that,
digital media mean to you?
YouTube and independent journalism.
also TikTok.
And TikTok and Instagram and X, and that's digital media. And
But if you ask the question, who has influence? I think you've got to surmise that even in the midterms, when the likelihood of tuning into the big ABC stations, NBC, etc., is high, they really have no influence on the outcome anymore.
no, I think Fox still has influence on the outcome, and it is still
No, but
mainstream
that's your
media.
bias. That's your bias because you hate it.
No. Yes, I hated it, but it
I
had
mean,
tremendous
I
influence.
hate Fox, but their production and their credibility in the newsroom, uh, albeit slanted horribly, is the best production of the major networks.
And
Yeah, but
part of
the,
that has to do with being able to get people to think that they're really news because
but
they
the
look
math
like really news.
it's the math, right? They don't have enough viewers to make a difference. They
No,
don't.
I think that's naive. I think the idea of in general of the idea of independence taking over one of these lever points, I just I don't buy it.
I don't buy that either. What I'm in a different place. I think people's ideas are shaped through their life experiences, not received from media. And therefore, I think we're at the time in history when media has less influence than it's ever had, even digital media, by the way. But arguably, digital media has more influence, but it's got less than ever because people are so well informed now, if they want to be, and they inform their own biases. Like Brent said, he watches what he wants to watch. Well, that's true of everyone. And so you have your ideas, you read and take stuff in based on your taste. I like reading stuff that I disagree with, but most people don't. And I think uh, people's brains are now much more independent and well educated than ever.
I think that to sort of dovetail back for a second about CBS, I think the huge mistake they made to sell the radio network or to get out of radio was a big error on their part because that would have been the perfect place to put the podcasters, and at least that would have been an effort. They had the reach, they had the entire country, they had the radio stations, they had the pull, they had the frequency. If they had done that, that would have been a smarter move. Now, they didn't do it. I don't quite know why they didn't do it, and I actually made a post on one of my social media where I suggested that, and some of the people that work at CBS went, "Yeah, why didn't they do that?" I don't know. Crickets.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the broadcast, scripted media,
Meaning,
meaning
Scripted.
the thing we always do at the end of the show.
Yeah. Oh, are we at the end of the show? Is that?
I didn't say that.
I watched Song Sung Blue last night with Kate Hudson and what's his name, Australian male actor.
The guy from Showman, The Greatest Showman.
Jack.
Oh, you mean
Fantastically well done. It's a
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman?
it's a schlocky
It's
rom-com, but it's incredibly well done.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Wolverine, that guy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that
Wolverine.
guy.
Yeah, he's a great dancer and singer.
I didn't even recognize him in the role. I had to look afterwards.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh
I
Jackman.
said, who is
The
that
guy who
actor?
did Neil Diamond?
Yeah,
Is that the movie you're talking about?
yeah, the Neil Diamond tribute band.
Tribute band.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
What else?
It took me a while to get Steve to watch this because he is not a Neil Diamond fan at all. Like the
So
opposite.
I've been watching.
It wasn't about Neil Diamond. It was really
No, it's about what
it's about the music.
people said about The Last Waltz, which is every great movie has a good place to go to the bathroom, and Neil Diamond is it.
You could not go to the bathroom.
So my wife Jenny is a huge Neil Diamond fan, and there's a tribute band locally here who are very good called the Shining Diamonds or something. I forget what they're called. But the lead singer took a shine to Jenny at Matthew Prince, the Cloudfest CEO, at a birthday party, and he hired them. The lead singer took a shine to Jenny and danced with her, so she's convinced that he's in love with her. So she loves Neil Diamond.
Oh.
I went to there's an event that happens the night before the Grammys the Grammy charity, and they pick one star to give the award to, and then all of these very famous bands play the music of that star. So they'll come up. The Green Day may get. It was a Neil Diamond the night that I went, and Green Day got up and did a Neil Diamond song, and then Clapton got up and did a Neil Diamond. So it was really really cool, and I always liked Neil Diamond, by the way.
So
I have been.
I think I'm going to watch Blue Moon tonight. Anyone watched it? And don't do any spoilers, but should I watch it?
Well,
I would. Yes, you should.
I have gotten the information from a friend of mine that she really, really loved that. So it's on our list to watch next.
What about Begonia? Begonia, should I watch
that? Yes, I loved that movie. I absolutely loved it, and it would be so easy to spoil it for you, but I'm not going to. Jesse Plemons is fantastic, and the movie itself is just when you get to the end, it's like it's really something.
He's
really good.
He's an amazing actor. He's kind of come from being a kind of, I always thought of him as a level 2 or 3, and he's now, anything he does is awesome.
What's his name?
Yeah,
what is his name?
Jesse Plemons. You'll recognize him if you see the movie. Go watch the movie. You'll really like it. It's very well done.
Cannavale?
No,
which one?
Cannavale.
Keith, did you say Cannavale?
No, I said Begonia.
Begonia is the name of the movie, like Ruby Begonia.
Sounds like the name of a plant.
Nobody remembers that.
Begonia is a
Brent. What have you seen that you appreciated?
None of that. Let's see. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of that. A lot of stuff. I've been watching a lot of YouTube.
Really? So
yeah, I'm serious.
So
well, what's got your attention on YouTube right now? Anything in specific, or just YouTube in general?
Well, I've been my sister's been wanting to watch stuff, and I've told her that I've been watching a couple of things on YouTube. Like there's I've fallen into this, watching these people's reactions to movies that I really enjoy. Like there's if you type in like best compilation of best scenes from Blazing Saddles compilation, there's a lot of scenes in Blazing Saddles that I love, and I watch these people who have never seen these movies react to, like, the sheriff is near, and you guys know it's not near. If you've ever watched Blazing Saddles, you know what I'm talking about.
Did they do one on Airplane?
They've done them on Airplane. I mean, almost every movie. They're especially like if it's like a funny movie, or I saw like people watch Field of Dreams, where he plays catch with his dad. People have never seen that, crying their eyes out at stuff. And it's just amazing to me, to watch people who have never seen stuff that I grew up with to react, or music. So I started
crazy.
I pointed her to this one guy that I really find kind of funny, who was reacting to Tombstone. And she's like, you know what? I've never seen Tombstone. And then I talked to her today. I'm watching Tombstone.
That's a fabulous movie.
Yeah, she only knew about the one with Kevin Costner. I'm like, that one's terrible. You need to watch the one with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. And so I watch a lot of stuff like that. And then there's some other stuff I'm not even going to bring up here.
Kurt Russell's making a big comeback right now. It's crazy. Right now, he
was excellent in that
the Madison.
Yeah, the Madison. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Yes, I was gonna say that's one of
terrific.
Them. And the other one he's doing right now is it's Monarch, which is a crazy monster movie, but it's really good. And it's Kurt Russell's got these two big roles going right now, and but I'm also watching the Madison's on my list. The new Daredevil's really really good. Daredevil Born Again.
Were you disappointed with the new For All Mankind first 2 episodes?
No, I actually enjoyed them.
Okay.
I'm at the. I don't want to give you any spoilers because I just watched episode number 2 just before the show came on.
Yeah,
It's very good, and
it's
that's
good.
also on my list. Your Friends and Neighbors,
Mm,
the new season
Yeah.
of that is really good.
mm.
You don't like
Is
that,
that the
Steve?
one with the
No,
dude
I
from?
like it a lot. I just haven't seen it yet.
Is that the one
That's
with the dude from Mad Men? Mad.
yeah,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
John
That guy.
Hamm.
All right,
It's
yeah, I want to
really
watch
good.
that one. I watched the first
It's
year; it was good.
and Marshalls. I'm really getting into that. That's good. That's the spinoff from
The new old
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Yeah.
I tried
Yeah,
to watch
yeah.
that DTF Denver thing.
Yeah. We're
Not liking
excited
it.
about it and haven't watched it since.
Nah.
Has anyone seen other than me Project Hail Mary
I
yet
haven't seen it.
in the
No.
movies? It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. You could wait until it comes into the stream in a couple of months, but I mean, watching it on 70 millimeter, it's the way to see a really big movie
Oh,
like that.
that reminds me. Me and Jenny did go and see this. It's called The AI Doc. It's the documentary about the optimist and the pessimist around the future of AI, made
Well,
by
your
this.
newsletter is not a promoter of that particular show.
Yeah, my new. Well, actually, depends whether you listen to me or Andrew Keene.
Either way, it just sounded like, okay.
Yeah, it's only worth what. It's very well made. It's only worth watching if you want to spend 2 hours thinking about the meaning of meaning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the 2.5 hours I spent last night listening to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which asks
It's the
that
two
very
and a half
question.
hours that I'll never get back
Yeah.
ever. Okay. Uh,
I would like to say something.
yeah. And then we're going to drop.
Okay.
Drop the mic.
Last week, I brought up goodbye, Christy Nome. Wasn't that nice that she, sailed away? And one of our loyal viewers and friends, Deanne, said, and the next person to go will be Pam Bondi. Because Trump likes firing the women. That's one thing. And I didn't think it would be this quick, and I didn't really think that she would be fired that at all. Maybe Deanne was right. Bondi's out.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think Bondi was fired so that she can refuse to testify before a committee.
They'll give her WITSEC, and she'll testify.
No,
She
she won't show
she
up and she won't testify.
I think Gabby, what's her name? Um,
Not good.
Tulsi?
no, the woman who's in charge
Tulsi
of
Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
She'll be next.
Well,
Yeah.
they had to get rid of Nome before that stuff with her husband came out. Did you see that?
Oh man, he
Oh
does
my
not look good. He does not look good in spandex dress. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, you guys hadn't seen that.
No.
No, is that on YouTube?
Oh
Unfortunately,
yeah.
yeah. Well, something came out about her husband after she was canned that I'm just going to say allegedly, although there are pictures apparently.
Oh, there's pictures.
He is somewhat into like cross-dressing and talking dirty to women, and they got a picture like he's supposed to be, I guess, dominated by these women that I don't know if it's OnlyFans or what, but he gets dressed up and he wears like fake women's parts that are really out of proportion. I mean, way out of
And
proportion.
and then a spandex dress over that.
Yeah, and there's a
It's
picture of
disgusting.
that out
This
there.
is the part of the show which I was always fearing.
Yeah.
And at this point, I want to see more, actually.
Oh, you don't want to
Yeah.
look Saturday Night Live. They did a part of it last night.
There's an awful lot
It was
of
on last
bad.
night?
It was on last night. If you go to their YouTube channel
Don't
right
hate their
now, you will
Last
see
night.
Sarah Silverman played him last
Oh
night.
my
Last
God.
night was Saturday night. That's the night that they have Saturday Night Live.
Oh, no, I didn't
The
know that.
That's the
It's a
the
night
problem in our household.
I think you're going to see Tulsi Gabbard go, and then I really do think that the Secretary of War is in trouble.
I hope he goes.
I
That's when I want to go on.
Well, there's an awful
Jeez.
lot of people that are now saying, these are people in the Pentagon, that he is back to drinking. And one of the things that he said to the Senate when he was approved in the end by one vote, which was J.D. Vance, was that he would stop drinking. So if they can prove that he has started drinking again, I think that's an opening. I also think that the resident, as you call him, Brent, has been setting up him to take the fall for this horrible war.
But he's almost been non-existent. I mean,
No, he hasn't been non-existent.
No,
He's gotta be
he's been ridiculous, and almost as ridiculous as that note that came out this morning.
You mean JD?
I'm talking Hegseth.
Not Vance.
I thought you meant Vance.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Vance is non-existent, and he's but Hegseth, I think, is absolutely. But
he fired the Army Chief of Staff.
Oh my God, he's fired 12
in the middle of war. You fire an Army Chief of Staff.
But I still think you've got to understand that these outcomes all depend what happens. Like finding this soldier overnight, huge win for the administration.
Big win.
I would say it was a huge non-loss because there was if they had, because they already announced they won, and then we've obliterated all of Iran's capabilities, and then they get fired. They got shot out of the air. They're just lucky that those dudes didn't die. Because if they had, then it would have been all over.
It's another one of those twist things. I mean, that letter that was sent out on Truth Social this morning, at the same time that he later on in the day, where he was able to talk about the successful or getting that flyer back, and that it's like one bad thing blots out the other good thing. It's like all of a sudden,
he should have taken the victory. He could have taken the victory on getting the guy back, which is all good, and if he had just done that, we would have this positive taste in our mouths right now on Easter. But yet he sends out that ridiculously terrible, what do he call them, truths or something. Yeah. It just took away any incentive for people to feel good about.
Even then, Brent, and spiritually I'm with you, but in real life politics, if they do what he says, which is this next level of bombings of infrastructure, and the Straits of Hormuz end up being opened, he's going to take a win.
They ain't going to open it.
What if
the Iranians are going to
don't open it?
They're not going to. They will open it, but they will charge every boat that goes through it $1 million or more.
Well, maybe not. Maybe we don't know, right? Because Karg Island, which is a key there, could be. We don't really know. We should be honest about that. We don't know.
I think they would have had a better opportunity if he had not sent out that letter that ended with "Praise be to Allah."
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you something. And by the way, it's not a hugely Muslim country the way people think it is. It's not like Saudi Arabia or Bahrain.
Very secular.
First of all, and second of all, I think Karg Island is probably the most secure place around or near Iran right now. And if they put boots on the ground in Karg Island, it's going to be like a meat grinder. I think that,
again, Frank, we don't know. I don't think we know. We shouldn't. Obviously, we don't have the information.
I don't think we know, but I don't think that trying to fit the insanity of Trump's outbursts as a result of the box that he's in, which is of his own making, unfortunately, it is going to be determined in the way that you suggest. I don't buy it.
The other thing is none of it has been a surprise. He has telegraphed every single move that he's made, and he has been talking for weeks about Karg Island. Even though they may not have already had those defensive forces on Karg Island. They certainly are putting them there now.
My
I'm
gut,
just
yeah,
my opinion.
I think you're probably right, Frank. But that involves us predicting his decisions, which is hard to do. And
Yeah.
so you're probably right in a rational world, but question mark.
I think there's a taco coming because if you look at how that Karg Island is situated, you can only get there one way. It's not like you're gonna come, that's like Gallipoli in World War One.
Yeah, you're going to go through those mind straits,
Yeah,
by the
there's
way.
no way that can come out
Well,
without a lot of bloodshed.
there is a 360-degree
Yeah,
world
there
there.
is another. By the way, there is a way to get into there going around a different route, but it would take an extra like 7 weeks. Now
But
you would.
That's not gonna happen.
I think my gut's in a different place. It's that the American population at the moment rewards you for doing things. It likes decision making, follow through, and then delivery. And the politics of it, the ideological side of it, like, is it good to have a war with Iran? I think takes second level order. I think it all depends what happens. I don't think anyone is so ideological that they say it's bad to go to war with Iran if it turns out well. If it doesn't turn out well, no one's ideological enough to say it was a good idea. I definitely think the ideology level is a minority sport here.
I
Well,
think
I disagree with you. I think that I
even if
think
he
that what
pulls out of Iran, the war does not stop because Israel will not stop.
Well, that's true. The other thing that I think, in relationship to what Keith is saying, is that betting on Trump is the only thing that's less likely to occur than anything else. So I agree with Brent. I think he's basically thrown this out as a way of saying, yeah, we're going to negotiate in public through strength, and then we're going to make a deal. And I don't think
Except
we know
the
what
Iranians are saying they're not talking.
yeah, I hear that, and they've been very good at mining the ability to exceed expectations for a very long time,
Yeah.
and do it cheaply, where it doesn't put them in a situation where the West gangs up on them. They're essentially it's Europe and Iran now are the players,
Yeah.
and we're basically trying to force a settlement. And I think that there's a reason why he's called Taco, and I think that's his secret power, by the way.
Do you think? Do you Brent? Do you? I mean, Keith. Do you think that King Charles will not come to America?
I think Charles is and Starmer are basically so driven by short-term popularity questions that the answer depends on whether they think it'll make them more or less popular. Starmer right now is anti-Trump for the most part because he thinks it makes him more popular. But we saw in the past he's a total kiss-ass to Trump. So it's not principle, it's just pragmatism.
Yeah, none of it's principle.
The Economist had introduced a new kind of meme last week where it described the US as a rogue state. And it said that in the future, it looks as if the US is going to play the role of a rogue state, as in out of control of the rest of the world. And that usually is a sign of a weakness, an emerging weakness. That feels to me like that concept has staying power that is not about Trump, actually. It's about America.
It
is about America.
Trump is what made America that way.
Well, yeah, that's what.
Well,
it
no,
is
no,
about
I don't
America.
think so. I think there might be once you have that concept in your head, you've probably got a 25-year history of it emerging.
I think you go for the big picture a little too much, given the actual data that results.
Yeah, I always do. I know.
And by the way, it's probably more like 50 years. If you take a look at history, everything happens in
Yeah.
50-year cycles.
Yeah.
And this Trump is looking for an off ramp. He doesn't. He's. I think that people around him have already said he's already lost interest. He wanted a quick win to be able to declare a quick victory, take a victory lap,
Yeah.
and don't.
Venezuela.
And now, yeah, he was thinking it was going to be another Venezuela, and now maybe it is finally starting to sink into him. $6 a gallon gas. People are not going to put up with that when there was never a reason we needed to go in right now because there
Is
was
it
no
$6
immediate
in
threat.
Georgia? Is it
Not in
$6?
Georgia, but in California, isn't it? You
It's
guys
$7 in California.
so I mean, people are not going to be thinking, "Oh, we'll put up with this kind of thing if we beat Iran in 8 months." No, people are going to get tired. They're already tired of that, and
I
there was
disagree.
no.
I disagree, Brent. I think you're looking through rose-tinted spectacles. I don't think people are that ideological. I
No,
think
I think they're not ideological. I think it's more affordability issues is causing them to have that kind of thing. They don't want to have to put up with these increases, not just for oil and for just one thing. It's across the board. I mean, have you gone to the
yeah,
market
but if
lately?
this
Stuff
thing
is getting
goes, if
high.
this thing goes well 2 weeks from now, and then the stock market booms and oil prices come down,
We've
two
been saying
months
that
from
if
now,
thing.
2 months from now, none of these thoughts will survive.
We've been saying this at 2 weeks, 2 weeks thing. War usually doesn't last just a couple of weeks. I mean, this Venezuela thing it really got people thinking Trump can pull this off again. Ah, that was the exception to the
But
rule.
Well,
again,
I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying if that happens, these thoughts that you're
That's a
accurately
big if.
talking about will not survive.
That's a big if.
again, how much ahead of time from the midterms do we have to get out? Do the Republicans have to get out of that war?
August.
You think that late?
The
4 months.
Republicans are not going to salvage
4 months.
midterms. They're
No,
not.
they're not. I agree with Steve. I think the Dems are going to win the midterms handily, but
Well,
then
I
they're
don't know
going to
about
get,
handily, but they're not going to salvage them.
the blame for the next 2 years.
Who?
As
The
well they
Dems.
should.
Once the Dems
Oh,
will
The Dems
win.
are too incompetent to get the blame for anything.
They'll win. They might win. They might win both houses. They'll definitely win one, but probably win two. And then they're going to get the blame for the next 2 years.
Well, they better get their shit together.
That's kind of
Okay.
historical. That's how it usually goes.
yeah.
All right. Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. We'll see you again next time.
Real soon. Okay.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin now.